Welcome back, friends, to the shop. In today's video, I'm going to show you how to hook up auxiliary backup lights to your transmission switch. So when you put it in, I was dating myself here. This, like putting a car in reverse. You guys that haven't driven old cars don't know what that means anymore. It used to be up on the column. Anyway, I'm going to show you how to hook up the auxiliary backup lights to the factory switch so that when you put it in reverse, however you do that, they come on, and when you put it back in drive, they come off. So switch free. And of course, most of your high quality lights are going to come with a decent harness, pre-wired. They really make it easy for us for now. So best thing to do is just to kind of lay it out here. They look a little intimidating, but they're actually quite simple. So the only thing we have here, let's start with the battery, are going to be battery connectors right here. So we're going to have a negative and a ground, and most of them are going to have an inline fuse. You want to make sure that you use that. Now this here is going to go to the switch. So normally for like driving lights and such, you could just bring that right up to the dash and use the switch. There is the relay, so we don't have massive power coming up to the switch. And then the only thing left are these two plugs, the waterproof plugs that will plug into the light. Really simple. So the only thing we really need to alter is this. We don't want this on a switch. We want it on to go automatically. So we are going to connect those wires to the backup lights in the rear quarter panel. Let's start by removing the rear tail light. This is going to be true for pretty much any car you work on. The rear tail lights are pretty simple. There's usually just a couple bolts, take out, and they should just come right out, and then we can identify what the backup light is. It's going to be the white bulb. On the Transit, it'll be a T25 Torx, a pair of them. Now step inside and put your key on, set the handbrake, and then put your car in the transmission in reverse. That'll activate that backup light. Now here you can see we've got the backup light bulb. Now the electricity that's going to that bulb, that's what's going to activate our relay and turn our auxiliary lights on. So we just need to trace this wire back. We can see here in the back on this bulb, right here is the one we want. We've got 3 wires going into this. Oh, that's hot. Woo! Didn't take me long to look at something. Fortunately, Ford in their infinite wisdom gave us a nice little access panel here. There's actually kind of a race there for the wires. So I'm going to feed these 2 plugs down to the running lights. Underneath there's an inspection panel here. We can get our arms up in there, but what I got my eye on is this little plug. It's a little rubber weather plug, and these waterproof plugs, they should fit right down through there. We can go ahead and plug these lights in now. Be mindful of your cable routing. You want to make sure it's clean. These are backup lights. There is no left or right, but we're on the driver's side here, so I'm going to connect this up here. For the passenger side plug, we'll just go along here, staying on top of the trailer hitch. That way, if we get into brush, you'll be thinking about wires. They'll get torn out. And over here on the passenger side, we can make that connection to the other light. How's it going, Jack? Good. You all done with your planter box? Yeah, I was just looking for a 2x4? Yeah. Should be some scraps on that back wall on the north side. And all that excess right there, I just folded up neatly on top. So if you were to look under here, you won't be able to see any wires apart from this one right here that goes up through that hole. And we'll put a piece of shielding on that just to further protect it. With that done, we can turn our attention to the switch here. Now, I could be wrong, but I think if memory serves, we have 3 wires here. So the blue one, I believe, triggers the relay, red power, and the black ground. We need to separate these out of the loom because our power is going to be picked up from the lithium house battery, which I have a fuse block right here in the utility box. So what we need to do is to run this blue wire through the factory loom into the taillight assembly and grab a hold of that backup light circuit. I'm just going to carefully split that loom, and we'll separate these wires. Because I'm not 100% sure which wire triggers that relay, I'm going to hook it up. Before I run my wires and go to all that trouble and have to rerun them, I'll hook it up to a battery here and double check, make sure that I have the right wires. And if I have this figured right, I should be able to take the blue wire, which triggers the relay. These are the 3 wires from the switch, and if I touch that on the positive, yeah, I can hear the relay clicking, the lights are on. So that's all we need to do. The red and black wires that went to the switch, we don't need those. We can just isolate those, coil them up, and just put them away. The only thing left to hook up now is the blue wire. The harness came with these giant ring connectors. We don't want those. We're going to cut those off. Actually, we're going to cut the wire off behind this fuse right here because I already have it fused on the block. I'm going to cut that back a little bit so we could reuse it on future projects. And I've already checked the length of wire. I have plenty here, so we're going to put the small ring connectors on here that are going to be compatible with our screws. So I really like these little ring connectors that have the shrink tubing built into them. All it takes to use them is just you thread them on there like a normal connector. They seem to be really high quality, and we'll crimp it just like we do a normal one. And once you crimp it, that pink tubing on there is shrink tubing. Oh, just about had a disaster. Extension cord. my uncle's he was a roofer, a general contractor, and he said, boy, he goes, extension cords, they hang up on everything. He said, if you ever fallen off a roof and sliding down and about ready to die, just grab a hold of an extension cord because that thing will hook on something. Isn't that the truth? Just rotate them when you're heating them. What you're looking for is that air void to go away, and it'll kind of squeeze almost like a silicone substance out the end if you get the good ones. This is a plug that goes out to the tail lights, and that goes through the body here with this rubber deal here. So we got our blue wire. This is when we need to trigger and activate the whole deal. And typically, if you're careful, you can feed it right through the plug or the factory boot and then get a nice waterproof seal there, and no one will know it's even there. On second thought, it'll be cleaner just to hook it before on this side of the plug, so I can test it there and see it's the green wire. So let's strip that off there, and then we'll hook this to the green wire. And given the choice, I like to solder this stuff. As I've always said, I've never had a solder joint fail. A lot of guys are saying they don't like electrical tape for this type of thing. But my experience with it is if you buy the 3M, if you buy the quality stuff and not the dollar store stuff, it works pretty good. I mean, I took off something that looked a whole lot like electrical tape from the factory loom. If it wasn't electrical tape, I don't know what it was, but it sure seemed like it. We're almost done, guys. So we've got everything nice and clean here. The power wires to the switch, I just taped those all up. We got our ring connectors. We just need to make the connection over to the house battery side. So what I'm going to do here, I've got to mount this relay as well, and I don't like to drill holes unless I have to. So I'm going to actually utilize. There's these factory plugs right here that are push plugs, just like that. So that factory deal that just went through the hole, and that relay's mounted right there if I need to replace it, nice and easy. And right out to our fuse block. And then make the final connection here, which is the ground. Boy, I crammed a lot of stuff into a small space. If I had it to do over again, I would have given myself a little bit more room. We'll take out the 10 amp that came with the harness, and we are good to go. All right, guys, let's try it out. See if it works. All right, friends, is it gonna work? You never know with me and electrical here. Okay, here's the big test. We put it in reverse. All right, that's nice. Back in park, reverse. Oh, that's gonna be so nice. Your factory backup lights are usually pretty anemic, and that's going to be really wonderful. I got the pods up on the top as well, but it doesn't cover the ground very good, and those are kind of spots. So this is going to throw a really wide beam off to the sides. I can even see it in the daylight, super bright. Can hear the relay clicking. Very nice. All right, I'm happy with that. Yep, I'm real happy with that. I'll tell you, a job done well to the best of your ability is one of the pleasures of life. To know it's not going to give you trouble, and you can count on it to work when you need it. Looking under there and not having a bunch of wires and stuff hanging down. I see guys, of course I look at a couple YouTube videos before I did mine, just to make sure I'm not forgetting something, and I see a lot of guys that are hanging them down underneath there. That's just not the way to do it, in my opinion. They're just too vulnerable to end up getting, I've done that in the past. That's what I did when I was a lazy teenager, is bolt stuff on this and that. Take the time and do it right. It doesn't typically cost more in material. It typically costs more in your time. So, and of course, our time is not really worth a whole lot to us, right? It's either you're watching YouTube videos or TV or doing something, so it doesn't really matter. But now it's really worth it. It's like that plug. I'll tell you that smart plug I put in. Man, I belly ached and pained over the, going to the trouble of drilling the hole in the side and the expense of the plug and all that. But man, every time I plug that in now, I just get this sense of accomplishment and this little boost of joy, a little pleasure of something that's of good quality and done right. And it's just hard to put a price on it. 6 months, a year later, you just don't even think about that anymore. You just think about, you're just glad to have something that works well, that you spent your time wisely on. All right, well, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys on the next video.